So today I'm going to be running through my settings on TradingView. This is super important so that you can basically have a minimalistic view of the charts. You don't want all these other sort of numbers and dials and whatever taking up space on the chart. The whole theory behind the sort of layout, in my opinion, is that you want it to be minimal so that your price action is maximal. You know, you'll see guys with like 11 different lines on the screen or indicators down here and indicators on the screen, and they've just got so much going on, they can't even see the candlesticks, which at the end of the day, this is the price. So you want it to be as clear as possible. So I'm going to show you how to get that set up today. So load up your TradingView, right click, and then just select settings. And here's the settings that you want to follow, which is what I use. Feel free to customize it in your own way. You don't have to follow exactly how I'm doing things, but I'll explain the logic behind it, and then just use what's most suitable for you. So the colors that I use, you like as a beginner especially, you want to remove green and red from your charts. The reason they use green and red to start with is because they know the tricks that sort of are behind green and red. So green and red are two very psychological colors in the world, not even just in trading, but in the world. Okay, so green is heavily related to greed and red is heavily related to fear. And fear and greed are two of the biggest driving forces in the markets. And that's why they use green and red and flash green and red at you all the time, because they're trying to incite greed and fear within you. So for example, green, when your position's in green, greed will affect you. So one way that it'll affect you is you see your trade in profit and you just want to close it out and take the money now because you're greedy, which distorts your edge because you're not letting it hit the take profit. The second way greed will affect you with greed is that price will be at your position and you just want to let it run longer. You want to try and make more money. Or when you're placing your position, you might want to make more money by increasing the RR. Again, this will distort your edge. So believe me when I say you don't want to use green for profit. And red is the worst. So red is the devil, right? So look at all the fast food companies. You got McDonald's, you got KFC, even just food companies in general. You've got Maltesers, you've got Kit Kat, like all these food companies. Just Google the psychology behind red in food companies. Red is a primary indicator for fear in the world. So we're biologically programmed to respond to the color red with fear and seeking security and safety, basically. So it's the same reason why traffic lights are red and brake lights are red. So when you get red flashed at you, you immediately seek comfort, because obviously prehistorically, or in our hunter-gatherer times, when we'd see red, it was mainly just blood, or it was a sign of danger. So when we saw danger, we'd seek security. And that programming is still hardwired into our brains when we see the colour red. We've not quite evolved out of that yet. So, for example, when you see a red brake light, you want to stop and come to a complete stop. When you see a traffic light red, same thing. When you drive past a McDonald's or a KFC, they're very smart and they know this. When you see the colour red, what your brain and body wants to do is just seek security and stop. So you want to seek security, you want to stop. What do? You pull over, you sit down, you have some food. So these are very well sort of studied and well sort of experimented on things. This isn't just me waffling or bullshitting. You can go Google it yourself, the psychology behind red and green. So the reason they do red and green and use red and green in the charts is on purpose to sort of do the same thing. So when your position's in red in drawdown, you want to seek security, you want to stop and just close out there. It gets you scared, so you close out. Again, it's going to distort your edge. So especially as a beginner, you don't want to use red and green. Find two other neutral colours. I use turquoise and purple, just my preference. This is easily telling me when the chart's going up and when the chart's going down, and it's not sort of playing on my psychology when my position's in the green or in the red. So that's my guides for colours. Choose whatever colours you want. I know some people that use the same colour for the chart going up and down. I personally avoid that. I think it is kind of key to know if the chart's gone up or down, especially because it's just related to the candle. Has price closed above or below the price that it started at? Which, when it's like a huge candle like this, it's pretty obvious. But when it's a sort of doji or a hammer or something a little bit more covert, it is kind of significant to know if price is closed above the entry price or not. So I would recommend using different colours for these. Borders, I just go with like a standard grey colour. The borders don't really make a difference. I know if you choose black, it's kind of a little bit overbearing. Like, that's a little bit too much for me. So I prefer to just use grey, just like a more softer, lighter tone. It doesn't really make too much of a difference when it's neutral. Wick, on the other hand, very different. I do like to use a solid black to see the wicks, because the wicks are very important in trading, especially my strategy when you're looking for sort of reversals. The wick tells a huge story. Everything else there you can keep unticked. Precision, default, and time zone. Honestly, whatever time zone you live in, I would recommend. There's a lot of people that swear by New York time zone. That's because they've learnt from American people. So when they've been taught intraday trading, their market open and market closes really matter to them, and they've obviously learnt it based on UTC -5 New York, because they've been taught by Americans. But honestly, with swing trading, it doesn't matter too much, because we're not sort of playing off of market opens and market closes. These intraday trading guys, like all the ICT and the SMC guys, like the Americans especially, they wake up at like 2:30 or 3 a.m. in the morning and start trading London session. Whereas obviously for us, we're swing trading, we're on the higher time frames. It doesn't really matter that much to us, because we're not looking on the 1 minute chart or the 5 minute chart or anything like that. Even on the seconds charts, I know some guys go down to. So we're not trading like that. We're a lot more passive. Time zone, use whatever you're comfortable with and what you're what's familiar to you, because we don't really do anything based on market open and market close, apart from just knowing not to execute your spreads, not to execute your trades due to higher spreads when it's like 10 p.m. and stuff like that. So time zone, whatever's your time zone is good enough. Status line, here's what I have for my status line. So I just have the title in the ticker form. So this, all I need is like New Zealand JPY in this instance. Indicator titles, again, that's all I need. You don't really need all the sort of signals and all the numbers and all the green and reds that's flashing alongside them. And then background, I just keep my background at the default 50/50 for that one. So basically, you'll start out with all these like different things ticked like this. And it's just really clunky. It takes your attention away. Like when your mouse is moving, this is moving. So you honestly don't need it. You can remove all of that. And literally all you need to see is what pair am I looking at, and then save the rest for just chart space. Scales, very similar. Got the symbol name at the top. Got the symbol last price as the value. We don't need this sort of percentage underneath. It just ruins our visibility of the axis, especially if you've got a level set up there that's going to read off horizontally. That'll overtake that. No overlapping. Have that on. So, for example, when I've got 3 different readings there, it's showing me everything on the chart. So, for example, 92 is not here. So 92.968 is not here. It's down here. But because I've got no overlapping, it's telling me every sort of key bit of information from my analysis on the charts. Even if 85.56 isn't there, it's going to show it there because of it might be overlapping because it's too close. So for here, for example, the plus button is very important, because when I'm setting an alert, it's so easy to just click the plus on the side and set your alert. So I'd recommend having that on. And then day of week on labels, I just have it on because that's the nice date format. Well, if you're American, you have a different date format. Fair play to you. You can have whatever you're comfortable with. It doesn't make too much of a difference, that one. Canvas. So this is more style again. I like having a solid white background because when I'm working, I'm normally in the light. So for example, if you've got a white background, it's a lot easier on your eyes. It strains your eyes a lot less versus having a dark background. Vice versa, if you're working in the dark, so for example, if you're on your phone at night in bed, and you've got a bright white screen in your face, it's going to strain your eyes, versus if you've got dark mode on, it's going to be less strain. However, I do most of my work in the day on my desk with the lights on, so I have a white background. It's a lot easier on your eyes, which is honestly like trading lifestyle is something to be aware of, because I'm sat in front of a screen like quite a lot of the time, so you got to think about your eyesight with this. So a nice crisp white solid background I like. It helps me see all the colors that I use a lot better, so I prefer that. If you do want to go dark mode, and just make sure the rest of the colors are suitable and look good for you, basically, and then you're comfortable with it. Grid lines, yeah, vertical, horizontal, but I do just take them off. Like, I don't really need them. I can even just put them to 0, but I don't really see them. Crosshair, I do like a crosshair. So, for example, when I'm lining up a fib, like this, for example, I don't have to actually click on that and click on that. I can just go to the left and go to the right, and the crosshair allows me to line it up pretty nicely, versus having the like the mouse on, where it's sort of like taking away your visibility of if that is actually the top or not. So I do like using the crosshair, so I have that on like a lighter grey. Watermark, you can take watermarks off. Scales, I like seeing my scales, so I have them solid black. I don't really have lines on. Navigation visible on mouse over. Pane visible on mouse over. Margins, I'm not even too sure what these do, to be honest with you. Like, I don't notice a difference with them, so I just leave them as they were, I believe. Trading, buy or sell buttons off. Instant order placement off. You can see what I've got here, basically. So the appearance, positions, profit and loss in ticks to show you the pip value when you're using these tools. Apart from that, I like, when I'm using this, I only really use the risk reward ratio and the value in pips, to be honest with you. So I just make sure that's covered. I don't read too much into that. Events, you can take off these sort of things that are at the bottom. So let me save that and see if it comes up. That's not displaying on this for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm on the free day. Yes, that's not the default, but you'll see if you've just loaded up your chart, basically, you'll see all these sort of things at the bottom with like news events and stuff like that. For tracking your news, just use Forex Factory or use investing.com, and then look at the economic calendar for sort of high risk news. You don't need it on your chart, guys. You can look at news elsewhere, so keep the chart clean. The only thing I really have on here is the alert lines. So if I get a pair where I've got an alert on, so here, it's nice to have the alert line on so it's visible. So you can sort of have a mental note of when you're looking for your trade to hit an alert. I like having it on. If you don't like having it on, you can even just right click on that and click off there for temporarily, unless you want it back on, just to make the chart a little bit cleaner. But those are the settings that I use. So I just adopt my sort of logic behind it. You don't have to use the exact same colors or anything like that. It's just the logic of having a clean and minimal chart so that you can see the price action and see what's actually going on in the markets. Don't be one of these guys that has like a million lines on screen and 5 different indicators, and you've got all this text up here and all this unnecessary stuff over there. You want to remove what's not valuable and just keep what's valuable, so that the chart and the candlesticks and all the strategy stuff is your focus. You don't need all these dials and buttons flashing in your face. Because even if it doesn't affect you consciously, it affects you subconsciously, right? So I think it's a big part of how you do anything is how you do everything as well. So it's very important to have a clean and organized chart so that you've got a clean and organized profit and strategy and clean and organized life. So make sure your desk space and everything else is tidy. Make sure your room's tidy, all that sort of stuff, because your environment really impacts you. So if anything's not organized, then everything's not organized in a way. Keeping a clean chart is super critical to having a clean trading strategy as well. So once you've got all these settings saved, just click save as and then enter whatever theme you want to call it. If you want to call it CH trading or minimal, or whatever you want to call it. I've just got mine set as minimal. So then you should have a chart layout somewhat like this. In order to sort of copy the rest of the settings which I adopt, check out the later videos that I'll be making and posting about the wider sort of things. So we've got all the time frames, how to change those, how to set different tabs and layouts, how to create the toolbar, all this sort of stuff, all these sort of TradingView tips and tricks, they're really going to help you out in trading and really help you understand what's going on. And also make it just super easy to follow what I'm doing because you've got the same settings as me. So check out those later videos. If you've got any questions, feel free to fire a message through to me and I'll be sure to help. So until then, I'll see you next time.